What's up, guys? I'm here to talk about a slightly different topic than I normally do. I recently did clear the solo flawless dungeon, the Sundered Doctrine, and I wanted to offer some advice. And I don't really necessarily want to call this a guide, but this is just some general ideas for what you can expect the encounters to look like when you're trying to solo them, and some of the tips that I picked up in watching other people do it, watching YouTube videos, things like that, kind of bringing it together in a hopefully shorter kind of format. This video was recorded on my stream. I did stream it over on twitch.tv/nightmarecv. So if the video looks a little different, it's not the true ultra wide like it normally is. It's because it's not going to look right if I format it correctly. And so I'm just going to leave it. So if this looks a little weird to you, that's why. I'm not going to go over every detail of the dungeon, but I will touch on every important aspect of the encounters that you want to keep an eye out for while you're doing the solo flawless. I did clear it on an Arc Titan, but you can do it on your class of choice. I'm very confident that all three classes are viable in this particular dungeon. Just me as a Titan, I pretty much only play Titan. It was going to be this or solar, and I'm very glad I was able to do it on Arc. Arc feels incredible, so I definitely recommend an Arc Titan if you haven't played it. With regard to the first encounter here, one of the first things that you need to understand is, if you're familiar with the last encounter and how you have to identify the truth and the lie, they all tell a story. And if you apply that logic to this first encounter, you can do the same thing, and you can take that logic and kind of figure out in advance without having to interact with the Truth Keeper what that story is going to be, what you're trying to make. So if you look and you see, Hive Warship, odds are if darkness is on one of your walls, you're going to be linking to darkness. And so you can make that assumption relatively safely. And as you go on and you start connecting more, when you know the first piece, you kind of have an idea of the second piece of the puzzle. One thing that I did learn while I was doing this solo is after you kill the subjugator and take the lens, use the lens, if you leave that room, go back to the middle, it will respawn almost immediately, which means you can go back in, kill it again, and get another lens. So if you have a preference between strand or stasis subjugators, you can keep farming the same one over and over to get the lenses you need, rather than have to run around the entire arena again. Also, do keep in mind for the connecting rooms on each side, there's a little hallway in between. My buddies didn't even know it was there, and I was using it in contest. So do remember that you can, on either side, go between those rooms without having to re-enter the middle area. Take your time, stay focused, and you'll get through this first encounter very easily. I did want to note in this one transition area, between the first and second encounters where you find the first secret chest. If you follow the path that I'm taking, you'll very quickly get to where that chest is. I don't go all the way down the hallway to it, but it's down there. I have found that if you jump up on this little light on the wall that you'll see, there is a little alcove. It might not be the fastest way to get there, but it is a reliable way to get to the exit. Just head up there, make that jump, go down, take a left, take another left, and you're all set. You're out of here. For this third encounter, I have to give a huge shout out to Chablo91, who I will have his video linked below. He has a great video going over in more detail what you're going to want to do for the actual damage of second and third encounters. But to summarize here, for the second encounter, you're going to hang to the right where the far right wheel is. And your priority in this circumstance is going to be getting that fourth wheel to kill, the kill symbol, as quickly as possible. Now, that does give you the shortest DPS phase at just about 10 seconds. However, it will prevent the other wheels from triggering actions. So you won't have to worry about them being on Hive and summoning ogres. You won't have to worry about them being on Remembrance or Knowledge, however you call that, and summoning additional wizards. You also won't have to worry about bees from Commune, I think is what that one is, if I remember correctly. You won't have to worry about those extra effects happening while doing damage. And to be honest, the last thing you want during this encounter is to be there any longer than you have to be. So yes, this damage is going to be much shorter, but it is much safer and much easier to control the situation while you're in there. So, there is that trade-off. Maybe if you're running a well lock, I could see you trying to get that long DPS phase where you're going to be a lot safer. But the more you have to move around the arena, the more you have to fight different enemies, the more you have to closely monitor what's going on the other 3 wheels, the more likely you are to take your focus off of what's going on around you. It's so much easier to lose focus and lose a wizard in the back of the map when they're spawning more frequently. You're not ready for that. And then when you go to pick up, your however much knowledge you need to be able to get to kill, the next thing you know, there's a wizard or an ogre or a knight that you weren't expecting because those other wheels kind of got away from you, or you got pinned down for a while, and again, those wheels got away from you. So yeah, you're getting this long damage phase, but while that's happening, you're getting overwhelmed by ads unless you have everything on stop. But then you're still going to deal with the additional ads that come during that phase as the wheel rotates. It is much simpler, in my opinion, during the solo to just focus on that far right wheel, get it to kill, pull out your parasite, and maximize your opportunities to do as much damage as controlled as possible. Now that we've dealt with the extended transition between second and third encounter, we are finally at the final encounter. And if you have made it here flawless, there's going to be a lot of nerves, so let that work through you. You're going to be okay. The first and most important thing you need to make sure of when you enter this room, kill the yellow bar knight that roams around on that first level. Just get that sucker out of there. He's going to show up when you least expect it and be a massive inconvenience. After you kill that guy, by the time you have hopefully done that, the boss is going to start roaming around the arena. The next most important thing you have to do is know where that boss is at all times. Because what you don't want to do is run around a pillar and see the boss waiting there, stomp, suspend you, and then gun you down. Bye-bye flawless. Trust me, I've been there. I've done that. It's not fun. And I don't recommend it to anyone. Look at the wheel. Pay attention to the wheel. Look at the 2 stories. If you don't know how this encounter works at this point, shame on you for not doing your research and probably not running the dungeon enough. You shouldn't be here watching this. You're not ready to solo flawless this. That's the truth. I'm sorry. But as a refresher, all the same, to players who have an understanding but maybe don't fully grasp it, the left and right 3 icons tell a story based on the name of each icon. So, for example, you may see on the left, Traveler at the top, give the 2 hands in the middle, and then light at the bottom. Traveler gives light. That is a true statement. On the right side, you may see Savathun stops Witness. That is not a true statement. So, what you need to do is activate the symbols for the lie. Essentially, this guy, Kevin, we call him Kevin. He's a real jerk, that Kevin. Kevin's trying to get into Rolk's vault, and he's trying to figure out the code. So we want to put in the wrong code to make sure that Kevin doesn't get into that vault. If anyone's going to get into that vault, it's us. And so we need to make sure that Kevin is not getting in there. So we're going to keep putting in the wrong code. And that's going to cause Kevin to get burned. That's going to cause Kevin to lose his shield. That's what's eventually going to let us do damage. The most important thing when you're setting this up is to understand where enemies are coming from at all times. When it comes to the side rooms, it's much easier to control spawns because they usually come from 3 locations, the left or right, and then either the top or bottom. The right side, I think, has 4 spawn locations, but they're very easy to control. I will tell you this now, and you'll see it a little bit later in this segment. There is only one safe spot in this entire encounter where no enemy can get to you, and that is going to be in the right side room when you are exiting. There's the little hole that you slide down. If you walk in slowly, don't slide through, walk in slowly and walk to the very edge where you would slide down, you can stay there for a moment. So if you need to run, use the bathroom, grab a drink, whatever you need to do, you can stay in that spot. The enemies will not engage you at all. They cannot see you. They cannot hurt you. So if you need a break, you need a breather, the pressure's on, and you're just like, I need 2 minutes to stretch and walk around, that is your spot. Remember that and use it as often as you need to. It is okay to take breaks during this encounter because it's either going to be very long or not so long, but there's going to be a lot of time spent. You also need to make sure you are very careful about shooting the door to the left room. It is very important that you shoot the outside portion of the door. And if you're using a primary weapon, my recommendation is to shoot that front portion as close to the wall as possible, the door frame. That way, in my experience, it moves the door the most smoothly, and it will ensure that it gets fully opened because you're not accidentally shooting on the inside walls. Those won't move it. You also want to make doubly sure before you engage with that door, ideally that no enemies are around you, but if there are, make sure it is not the attendants, because if they hit you with their slow while you're walking through that doorway, 9 out of 10 times you are going to die because that door is going to squish you and you will not be a happy camper. So always handle nearby attendants. Anything that you can see that you feel like if you feel uncomfortable, like I could reliably hip fire that, kill it before you interact with that door. Once you're in the rooms, target down the subjugators immediately, and then understand what pieces you need to interact with as far as the little strand nuts that you need to shoot. Figure out what you need, figure out where the attendants are, and then slowly deal with those. If you're not comfortable summoning a bunch of threadlings by destroying them, it's okay to go one at a time. Attendants will keep spawning endlessly. Take your time, destroy them one at a time. Make sure you're not getting hit by the threadlings. The most important thing you need to do in this circumstance with that is make sure you are not being hit by the threadlings. They have a nasty habit of severing you when they hit. They can cause you to get misadventured. You could lose an entire run. Do not let them touch you. Deal with them slowly. Take care of what you need to take care of and move on to your next objective. Once you have all 3 lined up, you're going to go to the back left of the room. There is a doorway with some boxes at the bottom left. If you jump up on top of that, there is a pillar that will block you from the flames so you won't take damage from the security. And the boss will not be able to hit you with his strand abilities. So Kevin's going to be sitting down there looking at you like a dummy, just saying, come on, come down here. Come on, come on. Kevin's a loser, okay? You shoot him in the face with Queenbreaker. Just keep blasting. Just don't stop. I'm serious. Until his shield is back, do not stop firing under any circumstance. If you reload, start firing again as soon as you're done. Shoot Kevin right in his big stupid face. Generally speaking, with Queenbreaker, if you're hitting your shots and you're taking the time between phases to get ammo, which again, I recommend the right side room because you do have that little safety alcove. It's also a lot more spread out, and frankly, I don't like dealing with husks, and the right side room is just acolytes and attendants rather than husks. I think that's way better for farming any heavy ammo that you need. So stick to the right room. I always finished in the right side room so I could take a breather before going back to damage, going back into that main hallway. Short of that, you could always do the bottom because they're going to be thrall. Once you kill the knight down there, that would be my next best option. The problem is when you come out of that room, when you come out of any room, the boss is always going to be there. The boss is camping that door. So understand that when you get out, sprint and jump as high and as far as you can to make sure the boss does not tangle you, okay? You will regret it. If you let the boss get his grimy little hands on you, he will kill you. Get high, get away, and start blasting. If you feel like the boss is camping something you need, go away from it, kill some ads, get some ammo, and come back to it later. Whatever you have to do, stay away from that boss until you are ready to kill him. Once you do that, also, Jeez, please understand, the triumph for the solo flawless pops after Savathun is done talking. You probably see my face in this clip. I'm screaming and everything. I thought the triumph didn't pop, and I was going to be so upset. It did pop. So just wait till Savathun's done talking. Guys, you've got this. I believe in you. If you manage to get the solo flawless, if you're going to attempt it, let me know down below. And if you have any additional tips for anybody, anything you felt like I didn't cover or maybe didn't run into in my run, share it down below. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.